Hello and welcome to part 11, and in this episode we are going to be looking at tuples. So in the previous episode we had looked at lists, and I think I might have left out some two important methods that you can use on lists. So let me just go ahead and take care of that right now. Let's create a list called vowels. So let's have A, let's have E, let's have I, let's have O, then let's have U. Right, so let's suppose that you wanted to remove one element, particularly the last element, that is U, from the vowels list there. This is how you'd go about it. Maybe let's just first run that code. Then you actually, as you'd expect, we get the 5 values that are stored within the vowels list, as it were. So let's suppose you wanted to remove one value from that list, right? So the way you'd go about it is to make use of the pop method that acts on list. So what this does is that it's going to remove the topmost, as it were, element, right, or the element that is at the very end of your list. So it's going to be removed from the list, and you remain with in this case you remain with 4 elements. So it's also important to know that the pop method, what it does, it actually retains the value that you have removed. And we can actually see this if we were to print this section where we say that is print vowels.pop, right? Let's just do that, and you'd realize that we get U right here, is it? So the pop method is actually a method that retains a particular value. So the value that it retains is the element that has been removed from that particular list, as it were. Then another important method that I would want to demonstrate is the sort method. So maybe let's have colors, and let's set that to red, then blue, then we can also do yellow, I think. Then maybe let's also add one more color, green, so that we have more data to sort. Right. So if I were to print this, as you'd expect, it's going to simply print this list in the particular order that we have, is it? So red, blue, yellow, green. But sometimes you might want to have your data sorted, and the way you can go about it is to actually print colors in a sorted format, or in a sorted order, as it were. So you can use the print and sort method. Then if we now print, actually let me just store this list inside of another list called sorted. Then we can then come here and print sorted. So just clear out the console there, clear out the console, then run that file. I'm supposed to be getting none. Alright, maybe let me try this. Because I simply wanted to print out the sorted list, as it were. So let's try this and see how it goes. It's still giving me none. So we have red, blue, yellow. Red, blue, yellow. It's supposed to be giving me in the correct order, in alphabetical order, as it were. Let me see what's going on here. Alright, so I saw where I made the mistake. So what the sort method does is that, let me just hover over it, and you see the documentation, as it were. So it says here that it sorts the list in ascending order and then retains a none. So that's why we are getting a value of none printed down there, right? So what you simply want to do when you make use of the sort method is that you call the sort method, then afterwards it's going to sort your particular data structure, or rather a particular list in this case, into alphabetical order. Then you can then print out your sorted value. So you don't necessarily need to print, if you were to print this particular section, you would get none, right? So you just want to call sort, then later on come back to your list, and then try to print it out onto the screen, and you should get a a sorted list, as it were, like in my case there. So maybe let me just put print colors before sorting, and then you'll see the sorted list there. So you realize that in the first instance it's not sorted, then in this instance it's now what? It's now sorted. So you need to be careful when you make use of the sort method for lists. Alright, so again, remember, this is just a holdover from the previous tutorial. I forgot to mention the sort and pop methods, and I think these are quite important when working with lists. But anyway, moving on to tuples now. So remember, we said that tuples, they are an immutable data type, or data structure, sorry. They are an immutable data structure, but typically they are the same as lists. So we are just going to store an arbitrary list of elements or objects, as it were. So it doesn't really matter what you want to store inside of your tuple, but you just need to bear in mind that tuples, they are immutable. That means you cannot change them once you create them. So why would you want to do something like that? So maybe, for instance, you wanted to have prices of items, right? We can have $2.30, we can have $5.50, we can have $6.70, is it? So these are the prices that we would want to store, and we would store them in a tuple, because we know that once we create this tuple, these prices are going to be fixed and no one can alter the data that you store inside of a tuple. So if I were to come down here and run that code, you'd simply see that we get the values of our prices, as it were, right? And the one thing that you notice between tuples and lists is that the output is pretty much the same, right? Only that the difference is that only for lists we are making use of box brackets, whereas for tuples we make use of parentheses, just like that. Then maybe, since they are immutable, you need to realize that some methods like pop, like sort, right, you cannot make use of them. Like maybe let's try to, you cannot make use of them when you're working with tuples, because tuples are immutable. Once you create it, it's not going to change. It cannot be changed. So let's try to say prices dot, you can actually even see this from the syntax highlighting that I'm getting, that there's no default method for popping or for doing all that sort of things that we're doing with lists. So that's important to take note of. So maybe I think that's just about it for this tutorial. Again, I don't want it to be too long, right? So yeah, just to summarize, tuples, they are the same as lists, but they are immutable, meaning to say that you cannot change them. You cannot change them once you create them. And also you need to bear in mind that you cannot use methods like pop, like sort, all those sort of methods that would normally work on lists, do not work on tuples. And you would want to create the data that you would want to put inside of a tuple. It's data that you want to be static, data that you do not want to be tampered with or altered once it's created. So I think that's just about it for this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one.